with the NXT girls.
Absolutely. Just incredible, because Fit Finlay used to coach the Divas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And certainly a man can teach a woman. There's no problem with that in wrestling. But I think a woman who, and Sarah Del Rey, I saw her work indies many times, an excellent worker in her own right. I just think somebody who's been there and done that is a woman, can get the message across that much better.
You might be right. I can't argue that point, but Finley did a hell of a job with the girls that I assembled down there.
No question.
In the late 90s, early 2000s, and we had a locker room full of athletes and women that were not afraid to lock up and take good flat back bumps and lay their stuff in. If they had a boo-boo, they didn't, it wasn't traumatic. I thought that group, and I think, I mentioned the other day about the WrestleMania. Earlier we talked about WrestleMania 32, and I said, here's how I would book Brock. Here's how I would book Rollins. Rollins would still be the champion at WrestleMania 32 until he left, and then Brock would win it, being the returning, conquering babyface. I think it would be something extraordinary, especially if I'm winning or I'm going hunting, and I'm going to hunt the rest of my life, and I'm done. So I think at WrestleMania 32, since we're talking about women, one woman that was in our locker room that rarely gets mentioned, Mark, that was so important, because if you look at a baseball analogy, and I know you're living in a town with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and they're not having the greatest of years, and they're underachieving, but they're still the Pirates, and they're still the hometown team.
And it's early yet, too.
And it is early. Hell, it's May, for God's sakes. If you're a baseball fan and you've already jumped off your team's bandwagon and it's May, you're not really a baseball fan. So that's my theory. But nonetheless, Jackie Moore doesn't get the credit that she deserves for being able to go in the ring and work. And she worked a little snug, and go in the ring and find the right level of snugness to some of the pretty little girls that we were trying to train until they got up to speed. And she taught a lot of women how to work. And Lisa Moretti, Ivory, another one. But Jackie Moore, being she's a native Texan, great representative to her gender, to her race, and she was a wonderful representative in our locker room.
I worked with Jacqueline in WCW, and she was just wonderful to work with and had time for everything and everybody. And you're right. She goes just beyond the level of work that most female performers even attempt, JR.
Yeah.
She's totally unafraid in the ring. If you'll recall, she did some intergender matches with Disco Inferno, which were very believable, no offense to Disco, more because of her than of him. She just can have good matches with anybody, and people like that generally are great teachers.
I agree. So I think she should be a Hall of Fame inductee in Texas.